Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Exit the Maze podcast. I'm your co-host, Scott Jones, along with Dr. Donna Marks, hoping everybody is having a great day. And reminding you before we start the show that if you like this show, please subscribe to the channel, share this with your friends, and certainly send us comments. Donna, how are you today?
Fantastic. And you sound like you're doing well, too.
I'm doing pretty good. Been busy, but you know what? Busy's good.
Especially when you have the energy for it.
Yeah, it's good. I'm drinking infused. It's an infused tea bag with lemon and honey.
Fantastic.
So there's no sugar or anything, and it's just.
How many notches on the belt now?
Actually, the belt I'm wearing right now will have to be retired because I'm on the last notch.
So you were down 2 notches. So
I was down 2. Now I'm down 4 notches, and I have to pull out the old belt.
Yay!
This belt, I transitioned to this belt about 18 months ago, or almost 2 years ago, because my old one was getting tight. Yes, so now this one's it's going to be too big for me. So I still got my stomach. My stomach is still there, but my waist is getting smaller. So it's all about. My body will redistribute the weight where it needs to.
Yes.
It's just, when it comes off, it doesn't always come off exactly how you'd like it to.
Uh-huh.
Right? I mean, I'd like, if I'm going to lose weight, I want it all off my belly, but that's not how things work on the body. The body says you'll lose it where you lose it, and then it'll redistribute itself.
Yes.
But
absolutely.
But that's why I got a rowing machine. I've started a rowing machine, which helps with the midsection and everything else.
Oh, yeah. That's a good total body workout, actually. It's like swimming.
And an exercise. And I love swimming. But, hey, we're Floridians. We know it's too god-awful hot to do outdoor sports right now. You do the indoor gyms. And then when it cools down, I'll start walking neighborhoods and jogging and doing all that. But not while it's a billion degrees outside.
Right.
But yes, I'm following through.
And I go to Pilates for stretching and core. And then I go to Orange Theory for the total workout, and it's a good workout.
Now I hear Orange Theory is a good place. It's very structured, isn't it?
Oh, totally. Yeah, it's a class, and you row, you lift weights, and you walk or run.
Oh, okay.
And there's also a bicycle in mine. I think some of them have more bicycles than others, but in mine there's a bicycle if you want to do that for your cardio instead of walking or running.
Yeah, I like the exercise bikes, but I don't want to be in a spin class with other people on bikes.
No.
Because, me, I get competitive. And if somebody just looks like they're going faster than me, I try to speed up. And then I'm racing somebody just so we could all end up in the exact same place we started.
Right.
But this actually, I'm glad we're talking about this because this brings up something I wanted to talk with you about. And which is one of the biggest hurdles in recovery or changing anything in our lives is the self-talk that we give ourselves, the negative self-talk. And it seems like you're almost destined to have that negative self-talk as you grow into adulthood, because the whole world of advertising and even our families and our teachers, everybody's always saying you need to be more than you are right now. And if you don't have this, you're not good enough. If you don't drive this car, you're no good. If you don't wear these clothes, you're no good. So we're almost taught to give ourselves negative self-talk from the very beginning. And with addiction and mental health problems, that gets even amplified. So, I mean, have you run into that where the self-talk has been very powerful?
Yes, it's very common. And and I teach Course in Miracles. We talk about it being the ego, there's 2 emotions, love or fear. And the ego is always covering up our fear, because if it wasn't covered up, we'd probably deal with it. Especially when it comes to addiction, the fear of letting go is something that I won't be happy without it, when the opposite in reality is true. And so there's that voice that's always saying, you're never good enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not handsome enough. You're not smart enough. You're not accomplished enough. You're not tall enough. You're not short enough. You're not whatever. It's just, you didn't go to the right schools. You don't have the right friends. You don't have the right partners. It's just da 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 da. Why'd you do that? And what that negative self-talk is very good, or the ego is very good at doing, it will tell you to do something wrong. It will tell you, go ahead and eat that bag of jelly beans. Go ahead and have that drink. You've been good for 2 months. Go ahead and have that, go ahead and have that affair. Who knows? Who cares? And then the same voice that talked you into doing it, what does it do?
What?
That voice that talked you into doing the wrong thing, what does it do?
What is it? It keeps me from growing. That's what it
It
does.
beats you up the minute you do it.
Oh, it beats.
You
Oh, I see what
stupid
you're saying.
idiot. Why
It'll
did you
turn on
do
you.
that? Yeah, you idiot. Why did you do
Yeah.
that? You
It's a setup.
worthless idiot. Yeah.
It's a setup. I don't even try something because I say I'm too stupid and I'll never be able to do it, and then I get mad at myself for not trying it. But I was the one who talked myself out of trying in to begin with. So it's a vicious circle that we put ourselves in there, Donna.
Maybe we should both go to a spin class.
No, I don't think so. I can't do it. I'm not good enough.
There you go. Like, what if you went and you just only paid attention to competed with yourself?
But these are the kind of things, though, that people create. They create these things, these dialogues. Like, I know a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't get in shape. I want to go to a gym and stuff." But then they'll create these excuses. But it's more the self-talk that's really getting them. Is I don't want people to see me in this shape. I don't want people looking at me because I don't look like everybody else.
Right.
Everybody in the gym is like Schwarzenegger, and I come in there looking like Danny DeVito. I mean, it's just I don't feel.
Well, that's what your ego tells you, and
that's what we're telling ourselves.
Go ahead.
Are we doing that on purpose so we don't have to do things?
I think that's a voice that developed over time because we don't feel good about ourselves. So in order to feel good about ourselves, we have to listen to the voice of love. And when it comes to Orange Theory, Hannah, who my daughter, said, "Oh, Mom, will you come to Orange Theory with me? I'll get a free month if you do." Cleaning me up for everything. Now we're on vitamins.
Oh boy.
But anyhow, I said, there is no way. I'd seen them in the window before. I said, there is no way I am going to be able to do that. Even though I had just completed this very intensive 1 month, a series of 4 1 month, twice a day exercise things. But at Orange Theory, I didn't have the control. Walking for 30 minutes is one thing, or 45 minutes is one thing. Being under this intensive workout for an hour is a whole nother matter. So she said, "No, you could do it. You could do it." And I went, and I actually could. I wasn't great, and I was one of the oldest people there, but I definitely was one of the thinnest people there, which was interesting. And there was people, that were. And I said, "This is so wonderful. We're all here to get better." There were people that were a couple 100 pounds overweight doing the workouts.
Wow.
So it's like my ego was saying, "No, they're all going to be 20-year-olds and they're going to be skinny and they're going to be in shape and you're never going to be able to keep up." And it's not about that. It's about me improving myself. And each time I do get a little better because I'm competing against myself without pushing the limits, just getting a nice workout. It feels really good. One of the ways I love myself is to do that twice a week.
Well, how is that? I don't even know if you could put it into words, but when you've got part of your brain telling you, or part of your psyche telling you, you're too old, you're too out of shape, it's not worth doing, and you're not going to follow through anyway, so it's a waste of time. You got that negative talk going on.
Right.
How do you kick that to the side to allow a positive thought to come in? Is there any kind of process or practice people can do in how to actually shut that thought down? Or
right. One thing is to say, who are you? Who are you? Who's that voice? That's not me. It's not you, because you wouldn't have accomplished all the things you've accomplished if it were you. It's
Right.
just this conditioned whiner. And I say, "Well, wait a minute. What do you mean I can't do it? I haven't tried." What were some of the other things that came up?
Well, there's things like it's too late. I'm too old, and it doesn't matter.
Right.
You tell yourself, you try to change it to something where I don't care. Instead of like saying hating things, I'll say, it really doesn't matter anyway, because it really doesn't. But the truth, it
So
does
wait, so
matter to you because
I'm
you
too
want to be
old.
in
Let's
shape.
take that one. I'm too old.
Okay, I'm too.
What is the age span in the class? Are you going to be the oldest person there?
No, you know what?
Then,
Yeah.
I have the trainer telling me the other day, she was doing a workout in the class. I said, "What are you doing here? Are you crazy?" And she goes, "No, I hadn't been able to work out." And I said, "Well, you really inspire me." And she said, "No, you inspire me." So even though I'm one of the oldest people in the class, that is nice that I feel I can inspire someone. I don't have to be the youngest or the prettiest or the best fit. I'm just a
Right.
human being with other human beings, and that's unity and that's love. So that's the next thing. And what was the last thing you said? Yeah, oh, it's not worth it. What
Yeah.
about you're worth it? You're
Right.
worth
I guess I'm getting to the point where, and this will apply. We're talking about working out now, but this applies to even like getting into recovery or doing anything hard.
about loving yourself and taking
Doing
care of your body.
it's it's walking into a situation and not being able to shine, to walk in and to be able to put yourself in a position where I'm not going to be the best in the room. I might even make mistakes, and I might fall off the treadmill. I did. That's one of the things I did when I first went to, is I turned the treadmill up to 12 and I stepped on it. I didn't know that 12 was fast. I jumped on it and I shot off
Oh,
the back of the
oh, how
treadmill.
scary.
And
Yeah.
everybody laughed, and everybody was like, and my worst nightmare came true. I drew all the attention to myself. And then I realized, those people are going to be telling that story for a very long time about the idiot who stepped on the 12-mile-an-hour machine and shot off the back end. And it's like, okay, well, at least I'm remembered. At least I'm memorable. There's something positive in that.
Right.
Um, but it's really hard to put those thoughts aside when you say I'm not good enough or I can't do it. We spend so
Says
much
who?
time.
Says who?
Well,
Nobody's
I'm
going to
saying
convince
because of
you.
our habit, we've developed a habit of listening to that voice and actually relying on that voice to protect us from trying anything.
Right.
So I guess what I'm trying to figure out is where does that come from? With me, I just had this overwhelming desire that no matter how uncomfortable I am, things have to change, because I was desperate. I was very sick. I was in a very bad place. A lot of bad things were happening in my life, and I was desperate. And so, no matter what the voices told me about, you're not good enough, you'll never stay sober, I had to do it. But are there little tricks that we can learn how to
So fear
start caring
motivated
about
you and
ourselves?
love kept you in it.
I'm sorry?
Fear motivated you
Fear
and love
motivated
kept
me.
you and love kept you in
I
recovery.
agree with that. I
And
agree
no
with
matter
that.
what we're dealing with, it's fear. Fear, yeah. And where does it come from? It comes from being made to feel horrible at some point in time for being human and making mistakes, or not being maybe maybe it could be something as ridiculous as not being a boy or a girl when they're born. We didn't want a girl, we wanted a boy, or we didn't want a boy, we wanted a girl.
Wow.
Or I don't, I don't know where you got your red hair from. I wanted you to have blonde hair. Or, your brother's making straight A's. What's with you? There's just, or you fall off of something and all the kids are making fun of you and laughing at you, and then you get called, a nickname for the rest of your life that keeps plugging that negative memory. So, or you get hit, or you get abused in some way, or you get abandoned, or you get neglected. These are the kinds of things that are like, this is not a safe place here in the world, and I'm going to stay as far away from any type of situation that hits that wound. And so that ego or that voice is always saying, no, stay home. No, do this. No, do that. All the, what are you going to go there for? It's going to be uncomfortable. There's going to be nothing but a bunch of old people there. They're going to be boring, or, I'm not really that interested in that topic anyhow. Or what are they going to teach me? I know so much about this already. I should be the teacher. Yes.
Yes.
Whatever the case may be, it's always finding a reason not to partake.
Yeah. And that self-talk is just a way to put yourself in. It's like I put myself in my place. I'm dumber than everybody else. I'm slower than everybody else. I'm uglier than everybody else. And these are things I believed about myself for a long time. And you're right. The outside messages did not reinforce anything positive. So that was difficult because I was around negative people and in family with issues and everything else. So when it came down to it, out of sheer desperation, I had to swim against the tide and do healthy things. And then I started to care about myself, and then it started to snowball. But I wish there was almost some sort of like secret trick we could we could do to say, here, just snap out of it for a second and just see a moment of your own brilliance.
Well,
Um,
the secret formula is you're not my guide. That you're not my guide.
but I guess it's like separating that voice from who you are.
Right. When you hear that negativity, in whatever form it is, you're not my guide.
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah.
my guide. I'm my guide. The part of me that says you can do this, give it a try. If you don't like it, you don't go back.
Right.
Try
Right.
something else.
Yeah.
It's okay
Absolutely.
not to be perfect at everything you do. It's okay to just have fun in life.
I guess that's the point right there. It's okay not to be perfect and not to know everything and not to um and you know what? There's people that have achieved a lot more than I have financially or this or that. But it doesn't necessarily make them better people than me. And I think I judged that. Again, that's all part of society labels too. You have a bigger house, you're more successful. But success can be measured in a million different ways. And
Success means doing what's important to you. And if it were important to you to make more money, you would.
exactly,
Other
exactly.
things are more important and the money will come.
But we shame people because of their financial status. We shame people because of. I'm not saying you and I go out and shame people. I mean,
No.
certainly we try as much as we can to lift everybody, but society in itself shames people. Um, I mean, here's just a completely ass backwards way that we live. The people with the least amount of money have to pay the most amount of money to buy a car. The people with the most amount of money pay the least amount of money to buy the same car. How much sense does that
Because,
make? How much sense? It doesn't even make sense, though. It's saying,
but why? Why is that?
well, it's because you get higher interest rates, like through the roof.
Why?
You because you're a risk.
Well, your income isn't the risk. What's the risk?
Well, they place a judgment that because your income isn't good enough, you are the risk. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I say what you're saying. Well, it also has to do with the credit score.
Well, credit score, that's true, but if somebody's down and out and struggling, their credit score is going to take a hit because they've got to figure out a way. And I got to keep things afloat, and I got to do this, and we got to be creative sometimes.
Well,
I
maybe
mean,
the reverse is true.
so what?
Maybe the reverse is true.
What is that?
They're having a hard time keeping things afloat because they haven't been fiscally loving to themselves and they haven't managed their money in such a way that they have a good credit score.
That's an absolutely true statement. You're absolutely right, because a lot of times that is the case. We also, perhaps you didn't grow up in a situation where you had somebody to teach you how to manage money or how to even like take care of a bank account or, I mean, listen, when I grew up, I figured I cannot be overdrawn if I still have checks left. That was my theory. How can I be overdrawn? I still got all these checks. I didn't understand it.
I love it.
So I've been in the financial straits, and then I said, well, it's time to pull myself out. And I figured out what I had to do, and I went to go get help, and the help wasn't available. What they said was, well, you're basically, because of your shortcomings, you're a third class citizen who does not going to get any breaks. You're not going to get any help from banks. You're not going to get this. You're not going to get that. And if you want to buy something, you're going to spend as much as $10,000 to $15,000 to $20,000 more than the person who's got no problems. So we are automatically labeled as being inferior because of the issues that we have in our lives.
Well,
So
you're not really getting, okay. I'm glad we're having this conversation because I've been dirt poor too. My
yes,
first job was a paper route. Then as a waitress, I was single and divorced by the time I was 18, and I was a high school dropout. And I lived in a roachy apartment behind someone's house. So I know about poverty. I know
wow,
about lack. And I know all about how scary it is and how in the heck am I going to live on at the time it was $80 a week. So that's when I went from being a waitress where I made more money to being a secretary, because when I went to night school to get my diploma, I learned how to type and I learned how to take shorthand and do a little bookkeeping. But over the years, I realized I studied how to make money. You can learn anything on the internet. I studied Napoleon Hill. I studied science of mind. I studied how to budget. I studied spiritual economics. And my credit score is almost as high as a credit score can get today. And I have zero debt other than our mortgage payment, which we're told to keep. I'd get rid of that too. In fact, we are getting rid of it as quick as we can. So, I'm not trying to toot my horn. I'm just saying I understand what it's like not to have enough. And I understand how scary it is. And I understand what it is to live in debt. But it's a state of consciousness. It's not a reality. So I had to learn how to do weird things, like rather than say I can't afford it, how can I afford it and save money? I learned how to do things like 10% savings, 10% tithing, the rest for the bills, and whatever's left over, play money. I had to learn really important things like the less I have, the more I need to give, because then the more I receive. It's a pipeline. And there was just so many things that were available to me that took my consciousness. And I've been there where, I've told your credit score is too low. You're going to have to pay a higher interest rate at the car thing. And then you're right. By the time you make that higher interest payments, or your credit card debt, which is like 20 shark loan interest rates, you just can't get ahead. And that's why you don't use them until you do have enough money that you can pay off your credit card. There's just so many things to do, but mainly to shift your whole consciousness from lack to abundance.
I love that. I do love that. I really actually wasn't talking about the real situation of that, but I'm glad you brought all that up. My thinking was more of, you kind of like, it's easy to find yourself put in that hole of being behind the 8 ball of everybody. But those are the kind of situations that you find when you're coming out of addiction as well. I'm behind the 8 ball of everybody.
Absolutely.
and I've got to rebuild everything. I've got nothing. And when you're having those
earn our
things,
way back up. Yes.
you earn your way back up. And it seems like every time you have to do something, it's difficult. And it's, of course, anything worth doing is worth doing when it's hard, certainly. But
we need to change our vocabulary. Difficult, hard, impossible, not fair. Those are all words of the ego, which keep us, in a negative state. So it's challenging, and I like the challenge. It's a whole different conversation.
Right.
Then it's difficult and it's hard, and I don't know if I can do it, and I don't know if I want to do it, and I probably can't do it anyhow, kind of thing.
We've got some comments. Let's jump into them real quick. Let me see. Karen from Crazy About Costumes is with us. She's going back to what we were talking about. That's me with weight, getting older. It's super hard getting older. Well, there you go. We throw these words in there again, like you just said. Well,
I'm 68 years old and I'm loving it.
There we go.
I could say it's so hard, but it's really fun.
Paul is sharing that he just started Tai Chi. Chai tea is what I'm drinking. He started Tai Chi. Yeah. He started Tai Chi for seniors. I'm 64, the youngest person in the class, and I have a feeling I'm in the right place for me.
Rock on. I love it.
That is awesome. Paul, that is awesome. My friend Debbie Bettendorf is with us again. She wants to thank you for sharing your story about that stuff.
Thank you, Debbie.
She says it's freaking amazing. She loves this. So, and I was doing a show with Debbie the other night. We were talking about similar things, about if you're not good enough without things, you'll never be good enough with things.
Absolutely.
And certainly that's a mindset. But I was like I said, I was shifting into that area of when you're coming out of addiction, there's a lot of things in society, in ourselves, and everywhere else that kind of put us into a separate category and things like that. But it's up to us to break out of that. It's up to us to change those things. And that's why that self-talk, it's so important that we not listen to that. because the self-talk will
Right.
just reinforce all the horrible things we feel about ourselves.
Right. Managing our money can be, spending our money can be an addiction. And managing our
Yeah.
money is like managing our recovery. It's no different.
That's, you know what, that's a good thought, because it transfers over to everything as far as compulsive spending. Managing money is a healthy activity like recovery.
Like
Uh,
eating healthy,
Healthy eating
living
is
healthy.
yes. Um, all the other addictions, the sex and love addictions, that a healthy, intimate relationship is healthy, but it becomes unhealthy, if you don't manage it properly,
Right.
you know. It almost
Absolutely.
sounds like it's a lot of work to do all of this stuff, and that's not how I want it to sound either. Because it's what happens is you find little rewards every step you take. You find rewards,
Yes.
and that work now becomes, oh, I want to do that again tomorrow. I want to do more.
Absolutely, and love is not work, and I always talk about, anybody that's had a child and you love that baby so much, you love that little person so much, and, you do have to get up and take care of them. You do have to drive them to school when you don't have time and all those things. But when you love that child, you don't think about it being work. You think about it just being part of being a parent. And so that's how we have to think of ourselves. It's not work to take care of ourselves, it's love. And once you get in the habit of it, you feel so good, just like you're experiencing, Scott. You're just getting high in a natural way. And that's really what I want people to understand in all my work with addiction, is that what you're looking for is exactly what you'll get when you learn how to substitute all the addictions with loving behaviors. You'll get the high you're looking for.
It's so funny you say that, because I think it was what was it, last night, I guess. Yeah, last night. I got done doing a podcast, and I had eaten dinner a little earlier because I had a podcast to do it. So I was actually kind of hungry, and I went into the fridge, and there was a plum and some apples and some pears and some stuff, and I was like, well, what I really want is an ice cream. I want Carvel ice cream. And I actually went over. I wasn't even going to drive. I was going to call Uber Eats to deliver me ice cream. And as I picked up the phone, I looked over at my painting area, and I realized I still got to finish this painting. And I grabbed my brush and I started painting. And I was no longer hungry. I was no longer looking for something, because I fulfilled myself in another way. And that, to me, when I put
You
paint to,
forgot about the ice cream.
yeah, I forgot about the ice cream. I put paint to canvas, and it's like I fulfilled myself in another way.
Yes.
I didn't want the ice cream. I just wanted something I wanted to feel good.
Yes.
I just, for that moment, wanted to feel good. There's a million things you could do. You can take a walk outside. You can get a breath of fresh. You can call a friend. You can put on a silly rom-com movie and feel good. Uh,
Yes.
but the habit was built that if I feel empty, it's got to be food that replaces that empty
Right.
feeling. And
Right.
empty feelings aren't always hunger. They're not
Right.
always hunger.
Yeah. Well, empty feelings are never hunger.
That's
Hunger
true.
is
That's
hunger.
true. Hunger is hunger.
Hunger is hunger. Empty feelings are empty feelings.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, I did wake up at 3 AM for a moment and say, "Damn, I wish I got that ice cream," but then I went right back to sleep, and I was okay. So
Good. And
I made
it's
it through the night with it.
possible because you ate early that you were hungry. You might have had a little hunger and you might have needed a healthy snack before you went to
And
sleep.
and I had plenty of healthy things, but I wanted something,
Wanted
that
a treat. So you
I wanted a
treated
treat.
yourself with your art.
I wanted a treat, but then I treated myself to my art, like you said. Yeah, and I find that with my guitars and with my singing and with doing a New York Times crossword puzzle. I'll tell you what, nothing fulfills me more than finishing a New
Oh,
York
those are
Times
so
crossword puzzle.
challenging. I'm envious.
I love
I'm
them.
lucky to get 1 or 2 answers. I have crossword puzzles everywhere, and I don't mind doing the ones in the local paper, but the New York Times are a bear.
My grandfather taught me. I used to sit on his lap while he sat in his lazy boy. You know, the old grandpa always had that leather lazy boy with the duct
Yeah,
tape on the arms because it was
yeah,
split.
yeah.
And I sat on his lap and watched him do the New York Times crossword. And then when he wasn't doing a crossword, sometimes he'd just randomly grab a dictionary and read different things in the dictionary. And
Oh,
I
he
one day
liked
asked him, I
learning.
said, "Why are you reading the dictionary?" He goes, "Scotty, every book ever written is in here. It's just in a different order."
Fabulous. He
But
really loved learning.
he loved learning, and then he was a Scrabble master, and I used to challenge myself with those things, and I forgot about that stuff for years, Debbie. When I was stuck in my addiction and stuck in my self pity, even after my addiction, my self pity and my obsessive have to be in a relationship kind of attitudes, just changing one addiction for another. While I was stuck in all of that, I forgot about all those things that used to bring me joy. And when I started looking inside and started seeing more about myself, and this is what I love to see when people really start to get it, is they start to like open up those things from their childhood or from their core that really turn them on, and they start doing them, and it's like so beautiful to watch. So I've got these things that I know what makes me feel good and stuff, and I know the healthy things. And guess what? I've never walked away from doing a New York Times crossword puzzle and hated myself for doing it.
Right. And the same thing of any other self-love act. You'll never say, gee, I wish I wouldn't have done that. Did
Yeah.
a good thing for myself.
I mean, you go to McDonald's, you're eating the last fry out of those French fries, and just even as you're putting that last fry in your mouth, you're already regretting the fact that you're there.
Not until the last fry, though.
Yeah,
And
you got to wait until the last fry. I mean,
same voice that talked you into going to McDonald's. It's the same one that's saying, you idiot. Why did you do that?
we don't want to waste money. I mean, if you bought it, you got to eat it.
Right. So you're talking about feeding your soul or feeding your addiction, basically, or feeding your ego or feeding that invisible hole, I call it.
Yeah.
Big difference.
But we've been
You can
programmed.
always say, I'm going to work the puzzle. I'm going to finish the pain. If I still want the ice cream, chances are you're going to entirely forget about it.
No, because you get fulfilled in other ways. This is my daughter, Hillary.
Oh, hi, Hillary. I've heard so many wonderful things about you.
She says, hi, guys. I need to treat myself to a walk more often. She's got 2 kids now. And they're both very young, and so she needs to treat herself. She used to do a lot of working out and all that stuff, and obviously
How old are they?
3 and 0.
Okay.
Well, not 0, but 6 months or something like that.
Kids love going out for a walk in the stroller, the bicycles, or whatever.
Yeah. But they're beautiful. Hazel and Jake, and I love them. And I love my daughter Hillary. She's such an amazing person. But she does have to treat herself, and I constantly 4 months. She's 4 months, not 3 months. I constantly tell Hillary to make sure you take care of yourself when all this stuff is going on. And you know what? She's one of those people that just happens to know herself really well. I'm very proud of her for that.
Yes.
And being the product of me and her mother, and living with us and all that stuff, she's one of those people that kind of walked through a battlefield and somehow came out unscathed. I mean, I'm sure, we all have issues, but she found her way to a healthy life, and I'm so proud of her.
Beautiful.
So proud of her.
Beautiful. Is there anybody helping her ever? Is she married or?
Yeah. She's got a wonderful husband, Adam. He's a great guy. He served our country in the military, and God bless him for that. Now he works.
He's probably more than willing to give her a break so she can take a 30-minute walk or a 45-minute power walk or something.
Now, I'm sure, like any other husband, he doesn't do it enough. And that's in our DNA. We just don't notice those things. I'm defending the guys now because, but he does. Every once in a while she'll call me and she say, I'm on my way here. Adam's giving me the day, and it's nice. So, or if she's not feeling well, he steps up, and they're a good team. And one of the things is they encourage each other, and they don't put each other down.
That's so important.
And sometimes, we need to encourage ourselves and love ourselves, as you said. But we also need to put ourselves in loving situations with other people too, where we have people that encourage us and that love us, so that those moments when we have a momentary step back into our old selves for just a moment, or even a consideration of I'm stupid, we got people around us to say, come on, knock it off. You're all right. You're good. We love you. You need to have that. You can't have negativity around you and expect to really survive keeping that loving attitude.
So true. So true. And it's not a Lone Ranger show. It's, having at least a couple of people in your life that you can do things with, that you can share with, that you can enjoy. And look at that. Your daughter says, oh, thank you, Dad. How sweet.
I'm so proud of her. So proud of
Yeah.
her. But
It's
yeah,
always a team. Success is about whether it's personal or professional or a goal, it's about a team.
and I'm going to say something else that is probably a little off topic here, but I think it's worth bearing. Um, Hera, my wife and the children's mom, passed away 2 years ago. Little over 2 years now, from her addiction. And I've watched Hillary and my other daughter and my son, um, especially my son most recently, but Hillary and my other daughter turn that thing into a strength for them. They turn that into a, she's now kind of watching over us, and they turned it into this beautiful thing. That Hera's life at the end was so hard, and it was so difficult to watch her self destruct in her addiction and to run from everybody. But it's almost like she brought us all together when she passed, kind of to say we got to take care of each other and we got to be strong and we've got to live better lives
And be
and
grateful for each other and
and be
support
great
each other.
and be grateful. Absolutely. And again, with my daughter Hillary, I watched her and she amazes me how she took all of this pain and tragedy and that's surrounding, and all of it surrounded by addiction and mental health stuff, and she turned it into a strength for herself, and I'm just so proud of her for that.
And to
I
be the mother that she didn't have to her own children.
Yeah, she's saying she did bring us together. I love looking at it that way. She did. She did. I mean, for the first time in over 12 years, we were all in the same place, me and my kids, just a couple of
Beautiful.
months ago. And for the first time in 15 years, everybody was sober. And it was just
Wow.
such a beautiful thing. And we held on to each other. We cried, we laughed, and it was the most beautiful thing. And what we believe is that she was in that circle holding us together. So, um, you know, addiction
Was
takes a lot of
definitely
people.
the thread that ran through all of you,
Yeah.
yeah.
And addiction, I guess I'm bringing this up because addiction takes a lot of people. We know this. Mental health takes a lot of people. We know this. And I don't ever want any of them to be lost in vain. They can become your strength. They can become your guiding light. They can become, even if it's going to be your cautionary tale, they let them mean something in your life so that you don't have to follow their footsteps, and they suffered so that we can keep going. Um, we've all lost people in some way. Just honor them by taking care of yourself and loving yourself. Trust me, I think, were they given the choice right at the very end to say, would you like to continue to live and love yourself, or do you want to continue to self-destruct? They probably would have chosen to love themselves. So maybe we should do it now. Just saying.
Absolutely. It's never too late to have a happy adulthood, I always say.
No, it's never too late.
Right,
It's never too
right.
late. You know what? There were times in my life, and I love the fact that you told your story about it. You've been in those struggles. And
Good
there's
time.
always, when you're in the middle of that struggle, I'm not in the middle of my struggle saying I want to be a bazillionaire and I want to run the country. I want to do this one. I'm in the middle of that struggle saying I just need one little break. I just need one little moment for something to go right. And then it does. And that catapults me to the next thing, to the next thing. You know, I don't need to have all of that stuff. I just need to focus on that one right moment for now. Just that's all I need. You don't need that much.
And
Um,
sometimes one right moment, just trusting. And
yeah,
again, using if you're experiencing a challenge or a financial challenge, use that time to learn about money. And one of my favorite people, aside from Napoleon Hill, which is a spiritual component, is people like Susie Orman, who, as a woman, wrote many books and does all kinds of seminars and stuff. She's retired now, but you can find her all over the place. But how to just manage a basic budget and bank account and saving and how to invest. But here's the real key here: if you're doing what you love doing, you will be successful because you have a mission and you have a purpose, and it's people who aren't engaging in that don't really value their work or the money that they're earning from it because it's just such a disconnect. But when you're doing your thing, and it can't not be successful. It's just counter mathematically possible.
Yeah.
so to speak. And money is mathematics. So
Yes.
if you learn how to be fiscally budgeted and responsible, and then I think the spiritual component is very important, because until I really started tithing, I didn't see the increase that I did once that happened. I never saw that before, and it's directly related to how much I give of my money and my time.
Now, fixing all of these things, I think I can go out on a limb and say this: fixing your finances, fixing your addictions, and getting sober, dealing with your mental issues, dealing with anything you've got going on, your relationship issues. None of that's going to happen as long as you're stuck in self-loathing. So
Absolutely.
the key to any change first is you got to care about yourself enough to make good decisions and
Or
try
if you, even if
something.
you don't care about yourself, be willing to do the things to care about yourself, so that you can care about yourself and you can feel good about yourself.
That
Anytime
works
you're in a
too.
room and you can hear the winners, they will tell you the attitude change that they had. They went from plodding along and relapsing and struggling and struggle, to all of a sudden the light bulb went off. And that's in my next book coming out, The Healing Moment. When that light bulb goes off and goes, wait a minute, I'm in charge here. What do I want? How do I go about getting it? And what kind of attitude do I need to make that happen? That's key to being not only successful, but feeling gratitude for your success and enjoying the challenges. Just like
That
the crossword puzzle, it's no different. I can sit there and look at that and go, "Eh, one word," or I can say, there's some little tricks here and I need to learn them. And I just keep practicing. All of a sudden, 10 words, 20 words, it's no different. No matter what you're doing, it's no different. It's just a matter of saying, this is fun. This is a game of life. It's fun. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to be grateful for it. I'm going to see how much I can get back. And those are the keys. Those are the keys to the kingdom, so to speak.
I just that was really well put. I think that's really a good place for us to end today because step forward, step up, do something. I wish everybody would understand that 99% of anything that's holding you back. Listen, there's hurdles that happen. I mean, it just happens, but 99% of the things that hold us back are our own creation, and
Why
I'm going
owe
to stand
you?
by that. With what?
Why owe you?
Why are you? Your own
But the only thing holding us back is ourselves.
ourselves, and we create these things, and we stick with them, and we hold to them, even when they don't hold water anymore. We still hold on to some of that negativity, but instead of looking around at all the things that are stopping us from doing things, look in the mirror first. That's probably your first thing. But I love these conversations. I love talking about this stuff. I love the fact that that we're able to do this show together.
And I
And
love it that you have retired your COVID belt, and now you're back in your other one, and
I
those will
I
start
am
going down too.
I'm going to stick out this one probably until the end of the week, and then I'm going to get in my closet and pull the next belt out. And because next thing, if I don't change belts by next week, I have a feeling my pants will be falling down. And then
Well,
I got all other negative thoughts to go through then, and I don't want to do it. So we're going to avoid it. I want to thank everybody who's joined us in today.
Yes,
Hillary, Debbie, and Paul, and Karen. Thank you for joining in today.
thank
And
you.
please share this with your friends and let us know if there's anything you'd like us to talk about. Next week, I'll have a special guest host because Donna is going to be, you're out of town, right? You're
I'm
out
going
of
to be in Ireland for a week.
is this business or pleasure?
It's a pleasure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we bid on, it was I don't know if you've heard of Jack the Bike Man, but he was in a very bad place. And this is a wonderful story. He's in a very bad place in his life, but he had a gift. And one of his talents was to be able to take broken bikes and fix them. And he kind of was doing that in the neighborhood for kids. And all of a sudden, everybody's bringing their bikes. And he started a business where he would get bikes donated and give them to people in recovery who didn't have transportation. Or, you could just, if you could afford it, you could just buy one. You didn't, depending on the need. And so
Yeah.
he did this fundraiser, and And one of the things was that they had a lot of different trips to different areas in the world. And my grandmother was half Irish, so that was on my bucket list to go to Ireland. So we've been on the Ireland trip, and we're going.
What part of Ireland, if you don't mind?
It's going to be mostly in the southern part, but Ireland isn't that big.
Yeah, I know. It's like
I
it's
didn't
like
know
this,
that. I think it's like a 3.5 hour drive from one side to the next. So, and then there's Northern Ireland, which is a whole different, remember the war that they had back in the 80s, I think, the Protestant,
yeah.
Catholic and England and all, it's got a lot of interesting history and recent history. But anyhow, we're going to be in the southern part of Ireland, starting off in Dublin. And it
How
should be a lot of
wonderful.
fun. But this is an example of prosperity through tithing, because it was a donation to the cause, and we're going on this trip, and it's like castles and manors, a trip that we wouldn't have never done, So
That is
it's just
awesome.
how the universe has its own way of doing things, but it is a wonderful example of how, you don't have to be mega wealthy to be able to live a wealthy life.
I've always wanted to go back to Wales, where my family's from.
Oh, yes.
And one day I'll probably do that. Although I hear I've met a lot of people from Wales who have moved over here because for some reason I just attract myself to them. I find out they're from Wales, and they say it's a god awful depressing place. Is the thing they tell me, because there's no sunshine. It's always raining.
Yeah.
It's always like,
Yeah.
but I still want to see it. I want to see it.
Yeah.
There's something about the rolling hills, and
Right.
Ireland much the same. It's
Right.
just got a
And
beauty
I
to it.
think it depends on your disposition too, because you can be anywhere and really get into
Yeah.
what's happening in the climate if you have the right attitude.
Well,
But
to you and
anyhow, I
I,
got to run.
the mist would be beautiful to look at.
Yes.
To
Yes.
them, it's like it's another Tuesday. They're sick of it. They're just,
Yes. Yes.
But that's like us with Florida sunshine too.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know,
it's so easy to take things for granted. But I've got to go because I got an appointment. Love seeing you, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.
enjoy your trip. We'll see you
And
when you
thank
get
you,
back.
everybody, for watching. We're so grateful.
Thank you for joining us. You've been watching Exit the Maze podcast with Scott and Dr. Donna Marks. We'll catch you next time.